Hello. Hi, folks. Um, I am trying to get my supplies organized. I have misplaced my point 3 and I'm gonna have to do with this micron point 3, not my regular uniball point 3. Nonetheless, point 3 is not what shall I say? It is not um, set in stone sort of a size. I just like my point threes a lot. Point five is just as good. And this is something that I want to actually tell many of you. You may find most of us using these kind of micron pens. We call these micron pens, right? This is the Sakura Pigma Micron. This is Uniball. You have a whole lot of other brands that make these pens, but this is not this is not hard and fast. If you don't find these, and these can be a little more expensive than regular pens, you should look for these kind of normal pens. When I say normal, the kind that you get at most stationery shops. What I like about the latest set of gel pens is many of them are waterproof ink, and that is really good. It means that once you use this ink and it dries, if you paint over it, it's very important to say for me to say that it needs to dry. Hey, Amita, hi. So once it dries, you can go over these inks in pen in watercolor or any other wet medium, and it won't bleed. With a pen that is not waterproof ink, what is going to happen is the moment you apply any sort of watery medium, it need not always be watercolor or poster colors. It can even be sketch pen. So even if you run a sketch pen over these kind of pens, the the black ink will bleed, and then all your hard work and all the effort you put into sketching feels like a big waste. So you should be warned that if you are not using these fine liners, which are very often waterproof, in fact, it says over here, check the pen always before you use it. Check that it is waterproof. Okay, here, see, it says water and fade proof. So check these pens. If you don't get these pens, even these readily available regular gel pens which say waterproof ink will work just fine. Okay, the only downside is that you have only one or two nib sizes in these, which is 0.5 and 0.7 sometimes, but that's about it. You don't get many nib sizes. If you want to add fine details, you will enjoy the many nib sizes that these fine liners have. So here's 5.5, 0.8, 0.3, 0.1. I really love a 0.1. 0.1s can give you really fine lines. Okay, so that's the thing about fine liners, which is why I use fine liners. But you can also use a regular gel pen that does not that is waterproof, has waterproof ink. Having said that, I should also point out that there are some gel pens which are colored. So Link, for example, has got red and blue waterproof ink. So this is really cool. I like that these things are available. Why? Because then I have some more color to add to my otherwise black and white sketch, right? So yeah, just some information before we start. Okay, so today I'm doing something I really enjoy doing, and that is playing around with postcards. I don't know if how many of you all actually are aware that these postcards issued by the Department of Posts, India Post, have how many of you all have seen this in the recent past? When I say recent, past are school and college days. Okay, so these cards are very much available even now, and they are a measly 50 paise. That's all you pay for one card. And we don't even have a coin in that denomination anymore, which means our smallest currency will get you two cards like this. Isn't that cool? I find that absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I collect these cards because, first of all, postage is already included, right? So when you have postage already included, it's such a pleasure to do something and just post it into a box, right? Put it into a box and not have to worry about affixing any more stamps. Of course, this is only if you are sending mail within India. If you want to send this kind of a thing, this sort of a postcard abroad, you will need to change the postage, add some more postage relevant to whatever is the current postal value for international post, right? So that is something you have to check. If you are sending within India, nothing more to do. Just use this postcard on the flip side, which is empty, blank, and you can use this blank space as well. And that's it. And make sure you write the name and address of the person receiving this card, and that's it. There is no return address on these postcards usually, so if you have to include it, please make sure you include it in the blank spaces. Now today, so what I have been doing is I have been taking postcards like these and using the white side, the back, the reverse, which is completely blank, to sketch and to do various lot of different sketches. Yeah, I guess it's sketches. Whatever you'd like to sketch, really. So you sketch on this side, and then I leave this part empty simply because I may want to write a note, a short one, to someone who's receiving this card. And so I keep this place blank. But there are a lot of postcards I've seen artists who use these same postcards and illustrate this part and then leave this side for writing. It's all up to you depending on how much time you have and which space you want to use up. Okay, so I like to use this broad space because first of all, there is usually more to draw for me than in this space, and secondly, I'd like to keep the writing to a minimum, so this makes more sense. I just want to say a few words and that's it. All right, so like I said, here's my bundle. I have like a stash of these, and I just go pick them up. So like for example, I went day before yesterday to send something via speed post, and I had a 3 rupee balance, right, to make it 70. So I told that lady to give me 3 rupees worth of cards, and I got 6 cards. And I thought that was really cool, really cool. So that's how I collect my postcards, and I just keep them handy for whenever I want to sketch. Today, I will try and continue on this theme, which is transportation, public transportation, specifically Mumbai's transport system. And if you notice, my illustrations have been rather archaic in the fact that our double-decker buses probably have changed I mean, not probably, have definitely changed their design. They do not have this bend anymore. In fact, it's a double front windshield sort of a thing. So this is an older version of a bus, but one that was very popular in my childhood. And so I don't know, when I also think of a double decker bus, this is what comes to mind. This huge bus with this bent bonnet sort of a thing. So that's why I stuck to the old style. The other thing that I did was the taxi. Now, the taxis in Mumbai are no longer our Premier Padmini brand, and in fact, this taxi is gone from Bombay, and so this was just to remind me of what it used to be, and that's the only reason why I maintained this shape. So the pictures I've taken, the references I've taken are very archaic, and so I will continue along this line. I contemplated using one more postcard to draw the monorail or the metro, but the metro and the monorail are really new, so quite modern compared to my currently uh, old theme transport. So today, let's go on to one more mode of transport. Oh, where's my, I think I misplaced one. Where's my train? I'm very good at misplacing things. If you have, I'm sure you've seen it at some point, but I did the train as well, the local train. And what I did, there it is. So the local train. Yeah. So What I did is I took the element that I wanted in the foreground. I didn't do much in the background, especially with these. See, you find nothing in the background. With the train, I still put the tracks and things like that. And then I wrote out the name as I choose to remember it. Okay, so this is not necessarily, you can choose what you want to write over here. I just used a nice font to highlight the name, and I've written Mumbai at the end of everything, so it's very clear where this is from. Now I'm past part of post crossing, so this serves as a really nice way to send postcards because this is unique to my city. And if I'm sharing something about my city or something unique about Mumbai, these are the kind of things I'd like to send to the world and to people who would like to know or would like to see something about the city's culture. Okay, a lot of talk. Now we'll get on to one more mode. And today, so I just be careful to make sure you flip it the right way. I have often flipped it this way and then ended up with, just a terrible moment afterwards. So just make sure you're flipping it the right way. And we will get on to the ferry. I don't know if any of you who live in Mumbai have taken the ferry, but if you go to the Gateway of India, you will come across a ferry that takes people from Gateway to Alibag. I believe there are also ferries that take you to Elephanta Caves and other places, but the Alibag one is very popular. People who go to Alibag like to take the ferry. It's a very quick way to get to Alibag as compared to the road, which is a little roundabout. So the ferry has been around for a long, long time, and that is another reason why I felt I should illustrate the ferry as a mode of transport. So let me just, what I did now in this case, mind you, I do this when I'm not in front, very often not in front of the object I'm trying to sketch. So I rely a lot on my reference photos, which is basically Googled or Pinterest, looking for a picture. So let me just see if I downloaded the picture of oh, I didn't. But you can see, I have a reference here. And you can see this is the kind of ferry we have that takes people from Gateway of India to Alibag. Nothing big. It's a boat, to be very honest, and a very plain looking boat, but very clearly Mumbai for any Mumbaiker who knows it. So we're going to try and illustrate a ferry here. Now, there are many ways to do this. If you are not sure of your proportions, remember, you can use a pencil. Okay? And I do use a pencil very often, just to give me a rough idea where to place things. However, all of these that I did not have a pencil when I was waiting outside in different places, and so I directly used a pen. And so the proportions are tricky, right? Sometimes you get it a slightly wrong, and then it looks just a wee bit sharper at this end, a little bit too crooked. So that can happen when you directly illustrate in pen. If you don't want to do that, you make sure that you have a pencil and give yourself a rough idea where you want to draw your image and what angles. And once you get that right, you can move on to the pen. Okay, so here I'm going to start with the basic shape. So I'm looking at something that has a middle line which is a little upward. Same way, it has a roof which goes slightly inclined, slightly, ever so slightly. Okay. In fact, this is a little short. I may even have to, okay, let's keep it this way. Maybe we'll make it a little longer. A slightly bigger ferry than I anticipated. Here's the water level. Okay. And we're going to mark out the middle that comes all the way up till here, and then you have, okay, all right. Then the next thing I observe in my picture is that we have tires. Have you noticed this? Those huge tires that are often attached to boats. I've always wondered how useful they really are. But so I'm just leaving placeholders for these tires so that I have an idea where I want them. They start to get fewer as you go higher, and there's a tire here. Okay, so what happens to the top part? You have this little portion. Okay, somewhere here I think I may have my line maybe a little, yeah, that's better. Okay, in the top portion I have a second half over here and like beams. Okay, these are like beams that indicate the side of the boat. So let me show you. Now what you start to observe is the distances between these. They are not all uniform. If we were drawing this like normally, what we would do is we just demarcate these lines, right? So this wouldn't be right. It would make the picture look very flat. So what you have to remember is we are looking at a ferry not directly from its middle, but more from its front, right? So to get the perspective right, don't draw straight lines down, right? That's not how we see it. Make sure that they are curved at the edges, and then somewhere in the middle is where you're looking, and that's where you can have probably a more straight line. And then as you go to the ends, again the line starts to curve a bit. Okay, so this would be more accurate. Now in addition to this, you will notice that all of them are rather straight. I mean, in the sense, sorry, equal, not straight, equal. Now this is not always the case, right? So when you're looking from this part of the boat, which is where you're looking from, which is where the photo is taken, you will start to notice that the windows start to get big. You have these big windows. The squares appear bigger. So make sure you show those, and over here the windows appear a little smaller. It's not because the windows are smaller, but because as you come closer, the windows appear larger because you're closer to them. These are further away from your eye, and so they're starting to look smaller. But they're all equal. Effectively, they are all equal. Okay, this is the bottom of the ferry. The top of the ferry is a double decker, what we would call a double decker ferry. So you have a top portion too, which has a railing, and that railing goes on all the way till here. This railing too, just mind this is vertical, by the way. This railing is not curved. The wood on the other hand is curved, but the railing is not. So small points to keep in mind. Okay, so that's your railing. Then you have the actual what shall we call it, not the cockpit, but that would be for a plane, but for a boat I'm not sure. What is the terminology? Anyone with a clear idea of boat terminology? Know what this is called? The place where the person directing or driving the boat sits, that would be the spot. Okay, so keep this section in mind. And what are we left with? Oh yeah, so there is an entire lot of people sitting here on top, okay, resting their back on something here. There are two rings here, and something like a what do you call this? Yeah, like a covering. Okay, so that's it. This is the basic idea. Now all over here, the base of the boat is not going to be seen eventually. We're going to have rough choppy waters. So this is going to be water. Okay, we'll draw some of that. There is a horizon which is going to be straight. Okay, and towards this end I like this part because we do have a small mountain like thing coming up into the picture. Okay, now, on the border you will find foliage over here. Water we will represent, okay, with even lines around. And here we'll add some missing. So this is my basic sketch. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I don't have time, remember, I'm waiting somewhere. But now in this case, yeah, where's my 0.3? I like a 0.3. 0.1 is just as good. Now let's start getting into the detail of things. I usually prefer drawing the things that are in the foreground. And when I say foreground, for example, here, if I start drawing the boat itself, what's going to happen is I'm going to end up drawing a line through the middle section here, which is where you'll find the wooden panels of the boat. But if I draw those lines, I'll end up covering the tires that are on the absolute exterior. And so what I probably need to do is start with the tires so that the tires will not get covered by whatever lines I put behind them. Okay, now yeah, so let's start with this one. Now at this point the tire is not exactly a full circle, it's a little bit oval. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do, just a slight bit oval, not too much, just ever so slightly, and give it that. So it's a tire, right? It's got certain thickness. Show that thickness, and it's on one side that you see the thickness, right? So show that thickness, and that will also be seen on the inner part, right? As you come closer to the center, the thickness of the tire starts to reduce a bit. So you could draw your tire like this with just a thin line to indicate the thickness, thin enough. Sometimes you can see the lines on the tire, the markings, whatever you'd like to add. As we come here, the tire starts to become rounder. Okay, and we can only see a little bit. Same way here. Freehand, your circles are not going to be perfect, huh? And that's fine. That's what I like about sketching. You know it's a tire, right? It doesn't look like anything else. And it's on a boat, so it has to be a tire. And that's my last one. In fact, here I should have put the weight a little bit on the other side, but it's fine. I'm just going to make this little thick. That's it. I have a tire here which sits around the something like the hull. Is it the hull? I forget. Correct me, those who know proper language, proper boat terminology. All right. Now that this outermost thing is done, we'll get on to the woodwork on the boat. So here on this boat, actually, to be honest, there are a few more tires, but I'm not going to draw everything as I see it. That is the best part about sketches. I can choose to omit what I don't want, what I feel I can't fit in, or for example, what I feel doesn't add much more to the understanding of what this picture is. So for example, if I added an extra tire, you wouldn't, I mean, it wouldn't make a difference to the boat, right? You still understand that it's a boat. So with one extra tire, one tire less, you're not gonna see much of a difference. So I'm going to now put a few things that I can see as they are. So this is one. From here starts this line. It goes all the way up till here, and it's a nice thick piece of wood. Okay, on this particular thing, I can see that it is actually dark color wood. So if you want to shade that in, that is perfectly fine. Okay, so it stands out, that contrast stands out. You can choose to do that now, or you can choose to do that later, no problem. Now here I notice that the piece of wood is like this, and then we can have these extra lines that run behind, and more or less keep them parallel to that edge of the boat. Okay, to the, yeah, again this is colored. So if you look in the picture, this is blue in color. So if you want to shade that in, shade it in. I'm going to leave it for now because I want to do a few other things before I shade it in. I can leave the shading for the end as well. Okay. Next is the shape of the back. So now for this particular part, there is a nice shape, and you will start to notice that this is where you can see the inner bit of the boat also. So this part at the back is kind of covered. Okay, and there's a window here, and after this, only after this does this line begin. So I'm going to start putting in these vertical ones. Notice my lines are sometimes shaky, not accurate, and that's fine. Oops, now I have to be careful. Not there, but there. It's getting wider and wider until we come to this point. See? So these things you have to start to pay attention to. And then I have this is the line at which the windows will the open windows will start to show. At this last part, it's actually a turn. It's got beams, okay, and you will actually have you can see in the picture. Let me first finish off this. Okay, there is a person sitting here. I'm going to just simply show the profile of someone sitting there. Nothing much, with their leg out. Okay. There are other portions that I want to draw out before. Now this portion, if you look in the picture, this is actually darkened because it's inside. Okay, it's bent. I don't know how to explain it, but maybe I can show it to you. You see this? There's a shadow here. There's a little bit of a shadow in this spot here because it's inward. There is a little bit of a turn in, right? So you want to show that. Next thing, you have a beam here. You can draw that if you like. I like these beams a lot because they really show that it's made of wood, and it's the whole thing is wood, really. There is a demarcation here, small window here, and then all of these are just vertical spaces I will draw out. Okay, most of them are like windows only, but they are blue and white. Okay, something like this. Now a lot of this, what you can see here, is dark. It's in the shadow, so you don't want to show it now. We'll see what we want to do with it later. Let's get on to the next part, which is the top. So the top is a very thin piece that actually ends here, but you have, okay. Now I will get on to the upper level. There's a piece of wood there, and then you have the straight line, which actually turns at this point, okay? But we can't see the turn. Now here are these vertical beams. These are metal and not wood, and so they are really straight. I'm going to keep it that way. Then comes the cabin. The cabin has a door, which is actually, it's like a double door. It's open here on top of it's like a sliding door. And then there's this open space where the door should have closed. And you have this, and this curved portion where you can see. Okay. And above this is on top of this, I also notice some sort of a angular device which holds a reel. I have a feeling this is something like a pulley, okay, which like a pulley on which you see on top of wells, maybe for reeling in a wire or a cable or something like that. That's what it looks like. But anyway, not to worry about it too much. Let's get on to the beams of this vertical rooftop. I mean, the thing that we see on top here. There's a line here, there is one here which goes down, and then some cross beams. We will find these cross beams, maybe for support, not sure. Okay, everything is a um, suggestive element, so don't get into too much of detail, and that's it. Okay, now, oh, I did forget. See, there you go, 2 foreground elements forgotten, and not to worry, if you forget, you forget, add them in later. Okay, these are not tires, these are reddish color, what do they call them, safety, for safety, uh, floats. Oh, the words escape me sometimes. All right, so those are floats which are red in color. It'd be lovely if you could color this, and you can. I should tell you that you should try coloring. In this case, I'm just sketching it, but you should try coloring on a postcard. It's really good. Okay, we've got the basic bit in place. What am I missing here? I'm missing, yeah, the seating. So everyone is seated here. So that line, okay, I'm darkening it because it's a seat, the like a chair back. Okay, next thing we need is yeah, now this is the side of the wood that we are seeing from this side. Now imagine if you're looking through across the boat, on the other side of this thing will be a parallel set of pillars or wooden beams that are holding the roof up on that side, right? So we're going to draw some of them. Also, to add a little bit of, what shall I say, suggest a little bit of dimension, I'm going to add a slight thickness in the inner part just to show that this is darker, just to show that, okay, there is some shadow, right? There is some shadow because it's a three-dimensional beam. Anything more? Yeah, nothing else. Now we'll get on to choppy water. Yeah, you have to loosen your hand for this. Choppy water is very I won't say hard. It's just very challenging because we don't like to let our hands wobble, right? Just wobble. We like straight lines, and so we often find it hard to let go. And that's exactly what you need to do for choppy water. Let go. So the water can go like this, upward. In certain places you will find it's quite high. Okay, let the dots and the dashes come in between. You may want to show a little bit of froth. Okay, and at the front, some really choppy water and some sprays of lots of things happening as the boat cuts through the water. At the end, you will find that the water is just a little foamy from all the leftover. Okay, you can show that little bit of foaminess, and okay, at the back. And for the rest of your water, you really don't have much other than, yeah, this, and not too many, just enough to show that yes, there's water. Okay, now I'm not going to do much because I've actually used up the space I wanted for writing ferry. So smart, I did. And this is the space I should have used for ferry. So let me just write my ferry, the word ferry. Now, because I'm using, and this is the focal point, I'm going to use the name that I would like to use for this. Some people may call this, I don't know, it's not a catamaran, so you can't call it a catamaran, but I guess it's a ferry or boat, whatever works best. So for this I use faux calligraphy. If those of you are aware, faux literally means false, because I'm not using a tool that is going to give me the thick and thin edge. So what I do is I write the letters and then I add the thickness where I would ideally have got the thickness with a calligraphy pen, a calligraphic tool. There you go. ferry. And I'm going to write Mumbai, because the ferry in Goa or the ferry in other places may not look exactly like this, or may have something very unique to that place. Okay, not over yet. We still have to draw the horizon, which is now starting to look a little teda to me. So the camera doesn't allow me to see a straight line as it should. So I'm going to take a little help here. This is not my best angle, so I'm going to have to, yeah, there you go. See, I got my lines a little messed up. So just for the horizon, I'm going to mark my line. Okay, I don't want it to look funny. So I'm going to mark this horizon line. Okay, and now I have a mountain that comes up from here. So show the mountain through the gaps in your, okay, the mountain foliage also has to be a very loose hand, as if you're just scribbling, just dots and dashes and curves and squiggles and what have you. Okay, that's it. Right at the edge, you could add a little bit of straight lines, or just to indicate that this is further away. The water is quite calm at these places, so you can just add a little bit of that, and maybe a few more waves, small waves. Yeah, okay, overall good. Now let's put in a little more detail. What I like about most of what I do is that I love to add these shadows, and shadows make a world of a difference. So if you look at the picture, you have to look for the shadows. When I say look for the shadows, they're not very evident all the time. Look at this picture here. You will find that the bottom, oops, oh, pardon my, yeah, there you go. So the bottom of the boat is darker white than the top of the boat. Okay, so if you're going to show this dark, why is it dark? Because it's got the shadow. It's inward, it's turning inward, and so you want to show this portion a little bit darker. Make sure that you put in these thin indicative lines that suggest that maybe here there's a shadow. Okay, right at the base. I like this a lot because it really just makes the whole thing come alive without color. That's like a very important thing. If I were to color this, I could do a lot of things to it. Next thing is the inner part of all these tires is also going to be dark. So I'm going to add in that bit just to show darkness. Okay. There's shadow in there because the shadow of the tire itself casting shadows. Okay, I could darken these a little bit. You can even darken the whole tire if you like, but then what happens is then you can't see the dimension that we were talking about. Now this is also an optional step. You could darken the part which is dark blue because it is blue and you want to show the contrast. Now that also looks nice, so I will do that. You can either darken it this way or you can fully color it in black. Okay, now the wheel here has got lines, so we want to darken that and darken the inside. Okay, now I will continue darkening this because it is blue. What else? Let's add a few people. Okay, I have to darken this portion. I had to said that earlier. So what I'm going to do is before I darken it, I'm going to add a few people, and these are just suggestive. Okay, heads and bodies, that's it. Here we do not have anything because, mind you, this is opaque. This is actually an opaque section. So the bottom is actually opaque and the top is where people are sitting, and you have these heads. So let's add a few heads that are standing. Okay, and a few heads like this, leaning out, putting their hands there. Maybe one head over here with the back. and another head over here sitting here. There is one head here which you can barely make out. We also want a few heads over here. Someone sitting here, someone standing, another person standing here, maybe front. Okay, so these kind of things make really good additions to the what you are sketching, because you can't obviously have a boat with no people in it, right? That doesn't happen. Okay, windows can be darkened. Okay, in this case, this is a window, and you can partially darken it if you want to show only the edges of the window. Next, we could darken okay. Now the shadow on this side, which is actually there, I should show it to you on the picture. See, this part, there's some lot of shadow because there is this cabin extends further, right? So let's say your window ends here and this cabin continues what is inside. So there is a lot of dark shadow here, and show that shadow with this kind of, you can darken it even further, mind you, if you decide to put cross hatching. I can show you cross hatching at this point because this is probably the darkest portion of the inner bit. Okay, so this is a good thing to do. Why? Because then it shows that okay, there is something there that is occupying, it's taking up a lot of black space, or showing indicative of black space. Okay, now over here there is a curve which yeah. Okay, now some people's legs can be seen, where people who are sitting, you can have their legs shown here. Those who are standing, legs are seen. Okay, good enough. And I may just stop over here, because I don't see much, a little bit of shadow here, because I do see that, yes, it is darker on this side, but not more than that. A few lines here, a few lines here. Okay, keep it. It's very easy to start overworking a picture. Very easy, mind you. I do it all the time. You can see me doing it right now. I have to stop. Since I have done this with a pencil, I will want to erase. And when you're erasing, please be careful. Often, I cannot tell you how often it has happened to me. I'm so enthusiastic about erasing the pencil marks that I go ahead and erase it while the picture is still a little damp or the ink has not dried, and I feel so miserable after that. So I'm just going to pick up some bit of the pencil. I'm okay if the pencil stays at some places, because as long as there isn't too much. Yeah, okay. So a little bit on the waves, which I did not match. Little bit on the foliage. Yep, that's it. Okay, rest of the pencil marks, even if they are there, I'm not going to worry too much. Yeah, that's it. So that's my ferry. Mumbai ferry, very interesting. Yeah, doesn't take very long really. I was talking more than I was sketching. Thanks, Anuja. This actually is a lot faster. So if you don't do the pencil work and you just start inking directly, maybe the shape won't be as good. I admit. It happens to me all the time. But sometimes I'm just so much in a hurry and I don't want that pencil sketch. I just want to finish one. So then I get to it with my pen. But you must attempt that. If this goes wrong, don't worry. The postcard costs 50 paisa. That's all you're going to lose, 50 paisa, right? And you can keep this postcard for yourself as a reminder of what you probably don't want to do again. Okay, and this makes for a little postcard to be sent to someone. In fact, I may just write this off to someone with a little bit of description about this particular ferry, which goes from Mumbai to Alibag, runs every day between 9 and 7. I think it's 9 and 7, and that it has been running for a long, long time. Starts from the Gateway of India and returns to the Gateway of India. So, a short write-up will be excellent to go with this picture, and you send it off to someone who will appreciate the art and the little bit of information. So that's all. It is very simple. All right. I will also now, what I'm going to do is, after now that I've completed one series of all these transport themed postcards, I'm going to try and make a postcard series on different dancers. Okay, yesterday I saw a picture of a dancer, a Bharatanatyam dancer. It was looking so exquisite. I was itching to take out my postcard and draw that dancer there. And unfortunately, I couldn't. I pulled out the postcard and the pen, and then I had to get up. But I'm going to try and do that, and it's great fun. I'm going to take some 4 or 5 dancers and try and from India, different dances of India, and see if I can illustrate the dancer um, over here. Now, one more idea for those of you who care to try. If you want, you can try and use postcards to send someone a birthday wish. Okay, so a birthday wish, you have the space to write out or demonstrate or draw out something very pretty. You can use a micron pen. You can use sketch pens, whatever you like. This paper is quite thick, by the way. Yeah? This is definitely like maybe, I don't know, 130, 140 GSM. Yeah, definitely. It's thick. It's not thin at all. I like it. Why? Because my ink doesn't bleed. Have you noticed? The lines are so clean. Super, super lines. So the paper is just amazing. And to think that you get it for 50 bucks, 50 paise is just too much. Really. So I should try. I should show you while you all are on this call what it would look like if you decided to um, color on a postcard. Okay, this is with postcards can take some paint, some color. Okay, see, it's not bleeding all that much, right? So, so suppose I say this is even if I want to letter something. Okay, yeah. So consider, like, okay, let me just show you what it would look like. Suppose we decided to, this is an example of me using color to add some, okay, and then I'll take a darker green because the mountain is actually a shade darker. Okay, I've never tried this before, so this is me experimenting. I'm not sure this. All right, few specks of green here. Let's take a deeper shade of green. I like foliage. It's so it doesn't bleed, and it actually does. So if you have good colors, I would definitely recommend a little bit of brown, maybe. Why not? Yes, add these in. Okay, let's see if we can add a little bit of blue. So this is all blue, by the way. Oops, that's not blue. That's purple. That's purple, sorry. So you can do this. Oh, that will really pop, huh? If you tried. That'd be nice, right? So you can definitely try this if you have your colors. Now, I don't usually walk around with sketch pens, so I don't do this. But if you did have it, see how cool it looks. Yeah. There you go. Ooh, nice. Very nice. Can give it a little pop of red. So these were red. Oh, not the red I wanted, but okay. And the sea is light blue, but I don't think I have light blue. Okay, so this is not Bombay Sea, huh? Bombay Sea is not this way. Arabian Sea is definitely not blue. Sparkling blue. No, no, no. Yeah. Okay. I think I like that gray. The gray is really doing a lot. There's my black. A little bit of black also will be nice. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Not bad. Does it have any other color? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Oh, yes, there is some bright color there. Why not add color only? Some odd colors, but okay. We'll add that in. Oops, is that blue? Okay, it's green. And there is a bright red for the people sitting over here. Yeah. A little bit of brown over here. Anything else? Yeah, we can put. Yep. I'm not going to overthink this, huh? I'm going to really stop. Shadows are the best. Gray is the best for shadows. So please go ahead and put grays where you think there is a, for example, here. Cool, no? Okay. Not bad, not bad. Now, I don't have a light enough color for the water. It's definitely not blue, but this also works. Now, if you compare the two, you know what? I'm partial to black and white. I don't know why. And so I would go with this. I'm not so fond of that. This is better for me. This is so cool. Okay. So that's each one's choice. I'm not going to say it's wrong. But what I wanted to prove was that you can add color and nothing will go wrong with the card. See, it doesn't bleed on the other side. Perfectly fine. And you can use this. You can still use this to give away. Okay. So ink and sketch pens to an extent work perfectly fine on postcard. If you have any questions or would like to try one of these, please go ahead and try and let me know on Instagram. I'd love to see your work. Try anything. Okay, I was quite keen on trying the hand cart and the tempo travelers, and oh, you could keep going in all off on a tangent. So pick something you really think you can do, or pick something you think you can't do. That's probably best, because when you say you can do, you won't do it. Pick something you think is really hard. I can't do it kind of a thing. And then just try. And you'll probably find yourself pleasantly surprised. Huh? And this is great for urban sketching for those of you who like to go out and just draw something outdoors. A postcard and a pen. Not bad, no? Can't we just take a postcard and a pen? You wouldn't, not much of a loss, not heavy. So try it out, a postcard and a pen, and see whether you can attempt sketching. Yeah? Hey, Mariam. Nice to see you here. And that ends this live. Thank you very much for joining in. And let's see if I can do another series on postcards like this. Okay? And thanks a lot. Bye.